down in her driveway. So she's been coming back and forth, picking me up if she wants to see me, or we'll catch a movie or whatever. And she's been in Petoskey. She's a traveling nurse. And so yesterday, I went to a meeting here at BVAA, great place. I love it. I'm so glad I'm able to stay up here.
Before we get to your amazing, I'm still glad you're alive story.
Right.
I want to go back to when you went up and knocked on the door lightly. The house manager to say, hey, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. What was going through your mind at that point? Like, obviously, you knew you were leaving, what, a day or two before, maybe a week before?
Yeah,
like
it was. No, it was a couple of days before. My rent was caught up and everything, and I had paid rent at the other place. And I just didn't know how to come across. I didn't know how to say it, to be honest.
Did you feel like they were going to judge you, like, oh, Van, you can't do that, you're going to go drink, or
right?
Hey, Van,
that's exactly how I felt.
Or were you afraid that they were going to ask you, hey, Van, do you have any plans to go drink?
Right. I was scared of it all, really. Being judged for leaving. I didn't do it the appropriate way, with a 30-day notice, and I just wanted to get out. I didn't want anybody to judge me. I've been judged quite a bit the last 5 years, and I have a difficult time accepting it, being judged. And, I didn't want confrontation with him at all, and, that's on me for sure. I could have stepped up like a man and taken care of business, which I should have.
I mean, you still would have left. I mean,
right.
Like you said, you already paid rent to their place, but... So, this is something that my mom's probably, because she listens to every episode. Hi, Mom. She knows what I'm about to say. Van, was it the relationship that caused the relapse? Or was it just self-confidence or overconfidence? Was it something that you planned, like, I can still have a couple drinks, or combination? Because my mom, she is not a big fan of the relationship. She read online somewhere, and she's just like... Nope, I know, it never works. And for me, it's never worked. I'm approaching things a lot different now, because I have the year. So that's what's up, Mom. I can get in a relationship now. Yeah. But do you think it was a combination of things? Or looking back at it, if you could learn something, what did you learn from that whole experience of, did you just too confident too soon? Like sure. You said, you weren't calling your sponsor, you weren't praying, like you could see those things. But
yeah, my relationship with Jackie is, she's well aware of, living in sober living and treatment. We have a great relationship, and that really wasn't a part of it. And more so with me being overconfident, complacent, I didn't have, when I spent my time, you get a lot of time to think and learn while you're in treatment, and I thought on it. It didn't cross my mind until 2 days after I was in the house, in my own place, sitting there. And yes, it did come across my mind that, hey, I could have just a couple. And I was overconfident those first few days with just thinking I had it. It didn't cross my mind to drink at the first few days, but I remember sitting there in my room and thinking, I could just do it. So I did have a couple of drinks, and I hadn't called Jackie because I didn't want her to know, and I didn't want my family to know what was up. And I have two sisters that are quite a bit older, and I always check in with them. Well, I didn't check in that day, and all day it was spinning through my head while I was at work. All right, maybe I can just have one or two, and that's what I did. I did get intoxicated that night. I didn't have to work the next day, but there was about 2 days before I went full tilt. And that guilt and the shame over that first drink just caught up with me. I mean, it was like, I did it, I screwed up, let's just keep going. Yeah. Just keep going. You already screwed it up. You're 7 months out the window. Rather than saying, hey, it was a day, and reflecting on it, calling my sponsor when I should have, for 2 days, I felt so guilty. Again, I didn't call my sisters. I was real short talking to Jackie. And they all three of them had an idea what was going on because I isolated right off the bat. It was the guilt and the shame, and then I hit it. Let's just keep going, and that's what ended up happening.
I'm glad that you said that, because someone listening right now who maybe they're listening because their loved one or friend is in recovery, or maybe they're just interested in recovery, but they don't actually have that addiction to drugs. They don't understand because they look at it and go, well, why would you keep drinking that? But like you hit it right on the head with saying, well, it was the guilt, the shame, and hey, man, I've already opened the floodgates.
Oh yeah.
What's one more day? I'll just stop on Sunday, or I'll just stop on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it's off the rails, as they say. And
it was off the rails. It was that, the 2 days after where I just felt so guilty. It was awful. That all the hard work that I put into it was gone. And that's truly how I felt. And then, part of me, I didn't want to drink again. I called Jackie, and she said, come stay with me for a few days, and she went off to work, and she had no liquor in the house. I went and bought a lot, a lot. And, she found me. And if it wasn't for her, I would have been in a very bad situation.
And where did she find you?
Oh, here we go. All right. So, she came home from work 5:30 roughly. Well, I don't know exactly because I was so incoherent, but I was passed out in her bed, and she came home, and the only thing I heard was, I don't know if I can swear on here or not, but she said, get the fuck out of my bed, and was pulling me as hard as she could. Well, I shit the bed. Yeah, I had no idea. But, yeah, I lost all bowel movements. I know this is out there now. These guys have been harassing me for a while now.
Yes, we have.
I didn't know what was going on. She said she even pulled me into the shower and showered me off, and I don't remember. And she said, you got to get in the car. She was trying to trick me because I just said, I need to sleep. Just need to sleep. But she took my vitals, and she told me, she goes, your heart is racing. But I couldn't feel it. I just felt nauseated. I was out of it. And I wouldn't get in her car. She even told me I went all the way out to her car. I don't recall that. That's how bad it was. The next thing I know, there's a very nice police officer at the door along with EMT. And, I wasn't in any way angry. I just didn't want to go. And so I ended up in the hospital. They took me to Alpena, of all places. It took forever to get there. They were trying to start an IV, bouncing around on the road, trying to poke me, and they finally gave up after poking me about 5 or 6 times. But there I ended up in Alpena for a few days, about almost 5 days, about 4.5. And I immediately went into AFib in the emergency room, and that's when I was begging them not to do it. But it did help. My heart went back into rhythm. And
how did that feel?
It felt like I've never been kicked by a horse, but it shot me right up. When they hit that, it was amazing.
Clear?
Awful. Yeah, the clear, they all stood back. My room was full of nurses and doctors. And I was awake through the whole thing. I was completely conscious. So I woke up sitting up and just out of breath. I mean, it hurt. It probably one of the worst pains I think I've ever had. But they were glad. I'm glad they didn't have to do it again because they almost did it again. But it finally went back into rhythm. And
it wasn't the shock of the AFib. It was the shock you realizing you might have to do it again that snapped you out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm good. But the crazy thing about that, going through that, I had no idea. You don't know your heart. My heart rate was up to 240 beats a minute. Oof. Is what they're telling me. And I didn't know what was going on. I was just felt sick, like nauseous. There was no pain other than the shock, but it was pretty scary. And the look on my girlfriend's face, like, it said it all. And I never want to see that look again. Nor do I want to see the look on her face when she was pulling me out of her shit-covered bed.
Sexual relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... I don't know, like, the reason why I brought up the whole relationship thing is because that's something that I struggle with. And mine was a lot of codependency, and I would think in the back of my mind, like, I always had a safety net. 'Cause I'm like, I could drink, and what is she going to do? Get mad, or she won't even know. And I'll go to a rehab. I get out, and she'll still be there. And the one that I'm thinking of is Rebecca, and I would do that. I was like, well, I just need money to pay my car insurance and my car. She makes pretty good money. I can just safety net, and
Right.
I just kind of gave up my hopes and dreams and was just confused to who I was and where I wanted to go in life. And, drinking helped me along. So I thought, but it just took me down. So not saying that you have a problem with, relationships or anything like that. I was just bringing up, facts.
No,
I know my mom is sitting there listening the whole time.
Right. No,
well,
it does
if you wouldn't have
concern
gotten that
me.
relationship.
Right. No, it
Just
has
kidding, Mom.
concerned me, and I've made it very clear that, and I've been saying this for a long time. Anything I put above my recovery, I will lose. And even my daughter, my oldest daughter, 17, and a year and a half ago, she told me, she said, "Dad, you need to concentrate on yourself first. You need to get better for you first, so you can be my dad again." And that, it crushed me, but she was so right.
Yeah.
Because it's hard not being in their life because of what I've done with the drinking.
Just like Cher said, if I could turn
What-
back time.
Yeah, if I could turn back time.
If I could. You just got to be on a battleship.
If I could just turn back last night.
Yes.
Right.
Van, you
So, yeah,
were
yeah.
so close
Yeah.
to meeting
and,
Jesus.
I was. It was scary, and I just let go, let God when I wasn't turning that corner.
That's how you win fantasy football. It's the
I know, right?
championships,
Yeah, just let go, let God.
Yeah, this is
Van,
our
by the
fantasy
way,
football league champion
217
right here
recovery.
talking.
It's the sober fantasy football league. Yeah, Van is the champion. So
The champion. I
congratulations.
just let go and let God. Yeah.
should have led with that since
Right.
got some talent here with us tonight. But okay,
Yeah, I
so
don't know.
your car breaks down in the perfect
Yeah,
spot because
perfect
God's
spot.
got your back.
Yes.
He's a big fan. Jesus likes you.
Yeah.
So your car breaks down
Thank God.
right in her yard or
Yeah.
driveway. So
Right.
you haven't been driving that. And
No.
then you're over there last night. There's a
Yeah.
big winter weather advisory, storm, whatever.
Which I had no idea because we were watching. We actually watched two movies, and one was that Sherlock Holmes with Will Ferrell, that new one that came out.
Yeah,
We
how
watched
was
that.
that?
It was okay.
1 to 10.
5,
Yeah.
and I'm a huge Will Ferrell fan though.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just some parts were funny. Obviously ad libbed, but it was just all right. But so yeah, she picked me up from the meeting, and I told even Ryan, I'm like, yeah, she offered to get me groceries. So, and I was so happy, because she knows I'm hurting a little bit right now, trying to make ends meet and, in recovery and all that. So anyway, on the way over, I felt so bad for saying that to Ryan. I'm like, we went to the grocery store. Her daughter was with us, and she was like, all right, let's grab your list. I said, you know what? I don't need it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't have her buy me groceries. So I did allow her to get pizza, though, for us and the kids.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah,
of you.
that was nice.
Who are you to, deny her of opportunity?
Yeah, I didn't want to say, no, I don't want pizza. But no, she didn't get the groceries, so that was all right.
That pride.
Yeah, the pride.
So you're watching Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
You're like, that sucks. What was the other movie?
The other movie was with, she's a woman comedian.
Clearly not better than
Yeah,
Sherlock Holmes.
no,
Then.
no.
Oof. It was a brutal.
I can't even
brutal movie
remember.
night for you.
Schwimmer, Amy Schwimmer, is that her name?
She's funny.
Yeah, it was okay.
Not Trainwreck though.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
You didn't think that was
It
hilarious?
was okay. Well, plus it was the second time I've seen it. Jackie hadn't seen it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I hadn't gone outside. I made some microwave popcorn, and I said, well, it's 9:30. I got to get going. She, normally she'll take me back, and she was like, well, come back in the morning. If you want to come back in the morning, it'll be easier for me. I don't have to drive you. Just drive my van, her minivan. And hell, my name Van. I've owned 3 of them. Yeah,
Van.
right.
I
Van
got
and a
this.
minivan.
I can do it.
Yeah, I can do it. I can do this. Well, all week, though, coincidentally, and not that this is an excuse, nor do I want to use it as one.
At least in Detroit, you have a bus stop.
Yeah, there you go.
Bus stop.
Yeah.
There's no
I've been
bus.
trying to get her tires rotated. And I even set up an appointment for her, right? Trying to be nice and helping her out. Well, she didn't get them rotated. So I've been on the fence about that one. I'm always trying to